And away we go. It is the nightcap right here on BearcatJournal.com. Brought to you as always by our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Go to that app. You can get it delivered right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop, or get down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15% off your order. All right, let's get this show on the road. It is Tuesday, so we'll get to some talking about talking. But first off, congratulations. Round of applause. Golf clap, if you will. Golf clap. The men's golf team went to Puerto Rico in a loaded tournament with multiple ranked teams, and they dominated.
Let's go.
And they came home with a trophy. Champions.
Let's go.
Champions.
That's the second championship in a week for this school.
Got a indoor track and field championship. Now you go to Puerto Rico, and you come home with a golf title in dominating fashion. They were up double-digit strokes most of the game, or most of the day today in the final day of competition. They get into it at minus 8 or 9 over the second place team, which is the number 2 team in the country, Duke. Anytime you beat Duke, it's a good day. Another top 10 team, UNC Greensboro, was there. They got their ass kicked. I think UC beat them by like 12.
West is going to love that, right?
So awesome day.
Were they ranked before?
They were in the top 40. So coming into the spring season, they have a fall season and a spring season.
So no number in front of the name.
They will now.
I would imagine.
They finished really strong in the fall. And then they have just carried that over into the spring, and they are playing outstanding golf.
Yesterday, you said that the last place guy on the team was like 11th place or something?
Mm-hmm.
Where did last place finish?
Kelly,
Okay.
We were getting Kelly moved back to her regular room and out of ICU. So we'll talk to Dave about that tomorrow. Stay tuned tomorrow for more details on the men's golf event. Because Dave was all over it.
Getting the BCJ bump.
Yep. Go to the BCJ page, Twitter feed, just at Bearcat Journal, and Dave had coverage all week, the past 3 days of how the men's golf team was doing, and they were awesome. That's great. Kudos to Doug and his guys. Baseball back at it tomorrow night. Their home opener at on campus, and
Natty Boys koozie giveaway.
You might have to give me one of those. Find me one of those somewhere. It's supposed to be like 70 degrees. So enjoy a nice Wednesday night out on the town and take in the baseball team and Coach Googs. Had a good start to the season, a little bit of a bump in the road against a top 10 team in Florida.
What are you going to
do? Over the weekend, top 10 on the road. It's not usually going to be a very fun time. You would like to have seen them sneak out one, but they didn't sneak one. Big day for the program, big day for men's golf, and congrats to our guy Doug Martin. They fly home from Puerto Rico tonight, and then they head out Thursday for another tournament. I'm like, woof, no rest for the wicked.
I mean, you just got a vacation.
That's life in season. They didn't get a vacation.
Come on, man. You're playing golf in Puerto Rico. That's kind of a vacation.
I mean, you're competing. Like, you got to get rest. You got to get stretched. Like, there's a lot you have to do. Now you're in Puerto Rico. It's nice, but they're not hanging out at the beach and going snorkeling.
Fair enough.
Job to do, Aaron. Job to do.
Fair enough. And a job they did.
Job done. Championship. Talking about talking.
Talking about talking. My favorite segment every week.
Yes. Wes Miller was back at the dais.
Just because we know it's coming, we don't have to worry about what we're going to talk about.
My plan initially was to get there today, but life happens sometimes. And
you said Kelly got moved out of ICU. That's congratulations, hooray!
Yeah. We had doctors to talk to and plans to be made and decisions to be made, and we got her back up on the 14th floor in her luxury hospital suite. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Hopefully we don't have to go back there ever again. I love the nurses. That they were great to us. It was delightful, but that place is heavy, man. That place is heavy. So, yeah. So have at it. Like, what did you take away? Let's talk about your takes from talking about Talkin.
So obviously the turnovers were brought up he said 22. I know that the stat sheet said 20. I don't know if there were some that they saw in watching the film study.
I'm sure there are things that they have that aren't counted as turnovers that they deem,
or maybe it was a slip. I'm not really sure. Yeah. Either way, it was incredulous to have 22 turnovers in a game, 20 turnovers, whatever you want to say. At that point, it doesn't really matter. Anything over 10, coach doesn't like. So when you double that number, that's not good. He did give a hat tip, though, to the swarming defense of Memphis. And what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do, right? I mean, that was
swarming defense. Literally from all angles, they were swarming.
It felt like they had 6 players on the court.
Yeah,
often. But credit where credit is due. What are you going to say? Clearly, it's not sitting well with him. But then I felt like after that, the conversation more or less just steered to senior day. And it was coach trying not to give a thank you for your service time to the players who may or may not be here at that point in time. But it just kind of went there anyway.
Well, I mean, you have your 3 guys that their eligibility is expiring.
Correct.
And David DeJulius, Rob Fennessy, Kalu Ezekpe. They don't have
coffee
to come back.
Cup of coffee for Rob. We hardly knew you, unfortunately, and
bottle of Gatorade for Kalu.
I think I think that Rob would have been. I think he would have been an example of Bearcat basketball that this team has sorely missed, especially with James Newman not playing.
John Newman.
I'm sorry. Yes, John Newman. So I'm getting ahead of myself.
I've never met James Newman.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. But I don't know. It's sad to see the way that Finney's career ended up here.
Absolutely.
Kalu was, I think, a great story for the season to see where he came in, and I think he was expecting. I think all parties, both him and coaching staff, were expecting him to be a starter, and for it to have gone the way that it went, could have gone south very, very quickly. Instead, it became a rising from the ashes, almost
a story of perseverance, Aaron.
Call it what you will, but
I did. I called it a story of perseverance.
Okay, and then of course you have Dave, who has been just everything for this program for the last several years. He's had a tumultuous time at Cincinnati. I think is probably the nicest way to put it.
In terms of him, like from his lens, yes.
Yeah. You want to talk about a story of perseverance? I don't think that what Kalu went through this year is anything in comparison to what David DeJulius has gone through in the three seasons he's been here.
And to see the way he's embraced the community, like as Wes mentioned today, he does a lot of stuff that people don't never hear about. Yeah,
he's like Joey Votto in that sense, right? Where Joey does things behind the scenes, just quiet about the way he does his work as a leader, and just he's not out here with the spotlight on himself. Like, hey, look at me. And Dave kind of does the same thing, where he's just like he grinds and he just tries to cast a shadow and let people walk in his shadow, as opposed to just look at me, look at me, look at me.
Right.
He just has always led by example, and I think he's going to be sorely missed. I don't necessarily want to compare it to Dez, but I think it's going to be when he's not here. I think the drop off in what Dave did is going to be felt about at the same level that Dez was felt when he was gone.
And then you get to who's coming back, and like, look, this is all silly. Like I get senior day's coming up. You have essentially 5 guys when you count John Newman. You have 5 guys with a decision to make on Do they exhaust their eligibility? Do they enter the transfer portal and look for a new home? Do they come back to Cincinnati?
You could essentially say that for the rest of the roster.
Well, but I'm talking about these 5 guys are all COVID seniors. Like they've got a COVID year to use.
Yeah.
These are all guys that have played 4 years of college basketball. And we were talking about senior day. So that's why they're relevant, is because the topic was who's walking at senior day.
Sure.
The 3 guys we mentioned earlier, Rob, Kalu, Dave, they're walking. Nobody else is walking at senior day. And, when kind of pressed on it, Wes gave really the only answer you can give right now. We'd love to have all of them back. And we haven't had those conversations because we're still playing. We're still focused on making as best we can out of this season.
Anything else would certainly serve as
uncivilized,
some type of distraction for the team,
right?
For even the fans, as you're wondering, like, how are the fans going to react one way or the other? Like, I'm coming back. If there's people coming back that the fan base doesn't want to come back, that's not necessarily going to be a good thing. And then it's not like these kids ignore social media. Let's be real.
JD, Mike Adams-Woods, Landers Nolly, Odi Oguama, John Newman. All 5 have an opportunity to come back. What did you think Wes was going to say? I don't know. I'd take 3 of these guys back. And then speculation runs rampant. Oh, Wes said only 3. Wes said only 3 of the 5 are coming back.
Am I one of the guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. The hell is he supposed to say in that situation? There's still games to be played. He has to go coach these guys this week.
Today, right after the press conference, he had to go coach these guys. And if he said something crazy, guess what? Everybody that was there would have had it on Twitter seconds after the words came out of his mouth.
Before the conference was over.
No, just sitting there live tweeting.
Yeah.
Wes Miller just said 3 of the 5 guys with options are going to be back, which means 2 of those guys get the F out. Like, no. Come on. Like, you guys have been around this long enough. There's no way he can say anything along those lines. None.
Well, and Wes has also been around long enough to know how to get around the question without sounding stupid, right? Like, he's not going to put himself in that type of position. He's been doing this for a decade. You don't just get to a top under 40 win total by slipping up in these types of spaces.
Right. So guess what, everybody? There will be 1, 2, 3, whatever it ends up being, spots that come open in the spring that they have the ability to improve the roster or find different pieces to fit in this roster. But it's like I said last night on the BBP, Aaron. If you'd have asked me at this exact moment in time last year what I thought would be the situation at point guard, I fully thought at that point in time they would sit down, they would have the tough conversations after the season, and that Mikey Saunders would stay and Mike Adams-Woods would leave.
I know. We had that conversation off air.
And it ended up being the exact opposite.
I know.
So,
we had that conversation off air too.
Yeah, but that's just like, you don't know until the conversations happen.
Look, what we know.
Royer confirmed last night, going after the Peach Bowl, everybody thought Kobe Bryant was gone.
Yeah.
And Marcus Freeman sits down with them a couple days after the Peach Bowl. And Kobe's like, not leaving. Unfinished business. I'm coming back.
What we do know is we have Day-Day, we have Jizzle, we have Rayvon.
And then we'll see where it goes from there.
That's the roster. That's your roster.
Those are the additions to the roster.
Locked. Well, they are locked in. They are the ones that they can't enter the transfer portal. I'm just saying. I mean,
they're locked in.
But I mean, those are the only 100% guys, right? Like they're all signed, sealed, delivered.
For the rest, we'll find out in a couple weeks. Brian Brown, defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bearcats, tomorrow night on the BCJ pod. And we'll be back with another nightcap. We'll see you next time. Thanks to Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See it.